Well, here's a projection for you, 10 years. That's how long before Social Security goes broke, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Millions of Americans are facing the prospect of losing their monthly checks, and the government isn't doing anything about it. CBN's Gary Lane explains what needs to happen to save our Social Security.
There's a new sense of urgency as Republicans on Capitol Hill sound the alarm about the rising cost of Social Security.
Just to look at the next 10-year window, for the first time, 3 trust funds go insolvent. The Highway Trust Fund, Medicare, and Social Security. So if nothing happens, they're in debt.
This president, no plan. And no plan means that someone who paid into social her entire life is going to get a 24% cut in the benefits she's receiving when the program goes insolvent in 9 years.
The Congressional Budget Office warns the Social Security Trust Fund will run out of money by 2033, 2 years earlier than previously expected. The Speaker of the House and even West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin say Congress must begin negotiations to save it. But so far, Democrats, including the president, insist Republican reform efforts would destroy the program.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
Fact-checkers found that only one Republican, Senator Rick Scott of Florida, came close to making such a proposal when he introduced legislation that would require all federal government programs to sunset within 5 years. Republicans rejected Scott's proposal. 40 years have passed since the last time Congress made meaningful reforms to Social Security. And this time the shortfall is much larger, making any solution much harder. So why do politicians keep kicking the can down the road as the problem gets worse? Andrew Biggs, senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, is a former Social Security Administration deputy commissioner.
Social Security reform involves breaking promises. Those promises maybe should never have been made in the first place, but they were made, and we now have to tell people that we can't keep them. They have to pay more and get less. Politicians don't like telling people that. They like telling them you're going to pay less and get more.
So why is the Social Security Trust Fund going broke? Young Voices commentator Travis Nix points out it's the way the program is structured.
Social Security functions like a pyramid scheme in that when you pay your payroll taxes, your money is not just sitting in a lockbox collecting interest. It's paying the current retirees. And so we don't have enough working young people right now to keep up with our aging population. So Social Security is going to run out of money earlier than any of us thought.
And Biggs believes the payouts are too much for those who could afford to pay for their own retirement without relying on the government.
The reason Social Security is expensive today is it provides increasingly generous benefits to middle and upper income people who, let's face it, could save for retirement on their own.
Currently, someone making $100,000 per year throughout their career will draw over $42,000 annually from Social Security. Nick says Social Security was never intended to be a long-term pension plan for Americans.
One of the biggest things lawmakers should do is return Social Security to what it was when it started in the Great Depression, which was a social safety net for lower income seniors who had just lost everything in the Great Depression. So they need to have an income cap on Social Security, a flat benefit program that caps the amount of money that people can get out of Social Security at around $15,000 to $20,000.
GOP presidential candidate Nikki Haley proposes raising the retirement age for those receiving benefits. Some economists and politicians have suggested delaying early benefits until 64 instead of 62, and adjusting the full retirement age to 68. And others suggest raising the highest level on the payroll tax beyond the current 12.4% rate. Nix opposes that idea.
What raising the payroll tax would do is for some of our best workers in their economy, our doctors, our innovators, our inventors, to pay basically tax rates at around 70%. So that's every dollar that they would make above like $150,000 would be taxed at 70%. So 70 cents out of every dollar would be going to the government.
During the 2000 presidential campaign, Republican candidate Steve Forbes proposed allowing workers to invest a portion of their Social Security payroll tax in the stock market, saying it would lead to greater financial returns. Critics called the idea risky, saying people would be gambling away their retirement. Biggs believes there's a better solution, having the government require the private sector to offer retirement accounts.
I think setting up retirement accounts for everybody outside of Social Security, so everyone is offered a retirement plan and then automatically enrolling them, that's a way of getting people saving for retirement in a way that's not coercive to them, but is also much, much cheaper to the government.
Regardless of the solution, Capitol Hill Republicans and even some Democrats say they must act to save Social Security sooner rather than later.
The sooner we get this solved, the easier it's going to be. They don't get solved by one side saying we're never going to cut benefits, another side saying we're never going to raise taxes. Everybody needs to put their cards on the table, get in a room and start talking. That's how we fixed these things before, and that's how we'll do it in the future.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
Well, in a divided Congress, I frankly have little hope that they can get together. It seems to be a political football. And our president quite clearly proved that when he called out one Republican senator for calling for a sunset. And in that, he ignored what he was trying to do is sunset all federal programs, so every federal program has to be voted on by sitting members of Congress, where you and I have a role in voting them in or voting them out based on their policies. So was it a sunset specifically targeted at Social Security? No. But this is the reason Social Security is called the third rail in politics. It's used all the time to drive votes, and no one really understands what's happening with this. I got an education and a tax course in law school where my professor was quite insistent that we all knew the trust fund was an illusion, that what was happening is money was going into Social Security as Social Security taxes, and he was quite clear, these are taxes. You are not paying into some fund with your name on it, and you're going to get your money back. You're paying taxes that are being distributed now, and the trust fund is being heavily borrowed against by the federal government to pay other obligations. So that's trading paper within the federal government. Is there a ton of money in the Social Security Trust Fund? The answer is no. It's been borrowed by the federal government. And when they talk about insolvency, what they're saying is the amount of yearly outflow for benefits is going to exceed the amount of yearly income. So, do we have to fix it? Yes. Is it going to make people mad? You betcha. I just got a letter from the Social Security. I turned 65 this year, and they talked about all the taxes I had paid into that system since I was 16 years old. And I got a full list of everything that had gone in, and it frankly made me mad because I knew I wasn't going to get that back out. I knew it. So here I am. I'm not about to retire. But let's say I was a plumber. Do I, at age 65, do I still want to crawl under houses? No. You should have a right to retire and not be dependent on your own physical labor anymore to go out and earn money. We need to have compassion on people. We need to get this thing fixed, and we need to get it fixed right now.